Okay, for this video there will be no long introduction because I'm sure you saw the title and you must be thinking, dude, now what are you smoking to come up with something like that? See, I do read the comments, but no, the title is not some joke, clickbait or a theme from some weird movie you don't know. I'm talking about real life. And I want you to keep that skepticism in your mind as I present to you one of the strangest theories I came across on a night of boating in a godforsaken place known as Reddit. Because yes, there is a ship at the bottom of the ocean. But that's not the Titanic. As you can imagine, when the Titanic sank, it was an event that moved the world. A brand new technologically advanced ship, which was being sold as being unsinkable, had just been defeated by a chunk of ice. For this very reason, many people suspected that perhaps there was something else, something that had been hidden, that had been the real reason for its sinking, or something that could have contributed in a big way. From the fire that happened inside its coal bunker 10 days before departure, to a mysterious major failure inside the expansion joints, a lot of theories came out to take the spotlight away from the world's most famous piece of ice. However, there is one theory above all that fundamentally changes that tragedy in such a big way that I assure you, you will never watch the most boring love movie of all time the same way again. It was all tax fraud. Or well, insurance fraud to be more technical, it just sounds funnier that way. Yes, the Titanic was deliberately sunk and all for the dirty money. Titanic, the Ship That Never Sank is a book written by Robin Gardiner in which are marked several curious events that happened prior to the sinking of the ship and give way to the most insane theory, but with more sense. I've read about this event. The event that starts everything happens on September 20th, 1911, where the ship Olympic hit the HMS Hawk. When a ship crashes is not the same as when a car does. First you had to pay for all the legal stuff, which is always fun, and then you have to repair your ship, which means money lost, not only in repairs, but also counting the money you lose when the ship is out of service. And if that wasn't enough, the company that owned the Olympic had another ship that was about to debut, the Titanic, which, thanks to all this, would have to see its delay from March 20th to April 10th, a time that could not be walked economically speaking, because the Olympic was out of service. That's when, so the theory goes, they came up with an idea. How about taking the Olympic, painting and modifying it to look like a new ship, and crashing it into an iceberg to raise the insurance money? Which brings us to the evidence for what up to this point appears to be only wild speculation. JP Morgan was one of the owners of White Star Line, with a first-class pass to what would be the maiden voyage of his new flagship. Wouldn't it be strange that someone as high up in command as he was would simply decide to cancel his voyage at the last minute? Well, that's exactly what happened, and despite giving as an excuse that he and his wife would not be traveling due to a health complication, they were placed 2 days later on a European vacation. This looks even worse when we consider how he had assured the country that he was going to board the Titanic to give a sense of greater security to the people. Not only this, but an hour before the ship left Southampton, 7 of the ship's valuable bronze statues were to be removed. But the most suspicious change is the Titanic's windows. Several photos taken of the Titanic showed how they were really committed to their design and showed windows of the same size, positioned at a similar distance. While on the other hand, the Olympic, being an older ship, had irregular windows separated in a careless way. So the moment you see the pictures of the ship at the bottom of the ocean, you will understand the surprise of the people when they saw those unkempt windows. Just the windows of the Olympic, not the Titanic. Now, as a final detail, at the time of promoting the new ship, photos of the Olympic's interiors were almost always used, which leads us to suppose that even at this time they were trying to keep people from suspecting the change that was going to be made, hoping to make it look consistent with the promotional material. Of course, this is not the only plausible crazy theory. There's another theory that holds that they could have sunk it to end all opposition to creating the Federal Reserve Bank, but that's getting us into another huge conspiracy theory that would only make the video twice as long. Although, well, I can't leave you like this, so I'm going to try to summarize it. Since it was a highly publicized event, on board the Titanic at the time were several of the richest men in the world, who coincidentally were also those who were against the creation of the American Central Bank. There are those who think that very powerful figures were responsible for sinking the ship because even though they were influential and first class, John Jacob Astor IV, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Isidoro Straus died in the sinking. Very strange, adding the fact that Morgan never boarded the Titanic. But in all seriousness, even though there is plenty of evidence to show that this was simply impossible to fake, from, using common sense, how could crew members mistake an old ship for the brand new Titanic? Or even that you don't see any kind of suspicious activity like increasing the insurance policy ahead of time, or the fact that they didn't warn more valuable people who did lose their lives that day, doesn't take away from the fact that the story of the Olympic is related to the mystery of the sinking of the Titanic, making perhaps even more ironic the story of this flooding titan, knowing that this name was only born to be destroyed. But that's where your task lies, knowing the history and mountains of evidence about this event. What do you think? Was it a block of ice that killed the Titan, or was it something far more dangerous?